So one of the big things going into the fight this weekend is how is he gonna fight? What's his game plan gonna be, right? Like what's he gonna come out with and do? Is he gonna be just like the last time where he came out and played the master boxer, which is typically his style, but he comes out, a lot of footwork, a lot of movement, right? Bending at the waist, slipping punches, and getting his shots in where he can. I mean, that's how we've always known him to be, right? So is he going to continue to be that way? It would make a lot of sense, right? And if you look at it from a traditional line of thinking, that's how you would fight a puncher. That's how you would fight a guy like Deontay Wilder, right? A guy who's more flat-footed, slower feet, boxing IQ isn't as high, and just known for his great punch. He's got a good jab when he uses it, right? But he's known for that great right hand. That's how you would fight a guy like that, right? Traditionally, historically, guys will come out and say, you box that guy. If you box that guy, you'll beat him, right? And as a matter of fact, that's what I thought he did the last fight. Like I said in a previous video, I thought Fury won the last fight, right? But he got caught twice, dropped, right? No big shock there. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that's different about this fight. He's coming out and saying, and he said it in multiple interviews, and he's not shying away from it, not changing his story at all. He's coming out and he's saying, hey, I'm going for the knockout. Like, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to knock this guy out this time. Okay, now he's also saying the second round, which, tall order, my friend. Tall order, right? Especially when you're not the knockout puncher. That's not what Fury's known for. I'm sure he's got very good power, right? He's a huge guy, 6'9", like 270, 280 typically when he comes in. So you know he can generate some power, and he's had some knockouts in the past, obviously. But they were against lower level competition, right? So second round seems like a lot, and that could just be him playing to the camera and the media and all kinds of stuff like that. He's obviously, he's a charming guy, really well spoken, and he's known for coming out with trash talk prior to a fight, particularly their last fight, which a lot of it was I thought it was hilarious. You're a bum from Alabama, like, dude, that stuff was good. But he talks trash in his own way, right? It's different than a lot of people would typically do it. But I really like it. Sometimes it seems kind of corny. Sometimes it seems like it's just a put on. He's legit, and he's a man who has 100% belief and confidence in himself, which is a great thing. But the question remains, is he going to do what he says he's going to do, right? So he's come out and he said a couple things. Said he's going to get the knockout. He's going to go for it, push it. And he said that he's going to fight. He didn't use the words in the pocket, but it sounds like he's going to fight up close inside of Wilder's power, and then also push him back a little bit. Okay. So needless to say, a lot of trainers are coming out, a lot of media personalities, boxing personalities, things like that. Hey, this is a big mistake. You shouldn't do it. Wilder's got way too much power, all that kind of stuff. First of all, I absolutely think they're incorrect. I think they're wrong about that. Okay? There's two ways to fight a puncher like that. And one of them is the way he fought him the last time. You fight on the outside. You keep your distance. You control the gap. Right, the space between you and the other fighter. You control that gap as the boxer. You move in and out when you want. You land your shots when you want, and you do everything you can to make sure that he doesn't get his shots off. Right, which in the case of the last fight was primarily Fury using his feet and then bending at the waist and getting underneath that right hand. And it worked out great, except when it didn't. Got caught twice, 9th round, 12th round, went down both times. And that 12th round knockout was a particularly rough one. But Wilder's got that true power, man. He carries his power late in the fight. He's not just one of these guys that you only got to worry about the power for the first few rounds, and then once he gets a little gas, that's out of there. You got to worry about that dude for 36 minutes. Okay? But the other way to fight him is to get inside of the power. The first way was outside of the power. Second way is inside of the power, right? So you get in close so that he can't pop his shoulder, flip his hip. He can't generate maximum power on his shots. Can't get the full length on his arm, right? That's another way to fight a guy like that. You get inside of that power. And then on top of that, another little wrinkle to that would be you actually push him back. You don't just fight inside. You're not just in the pocket. You actually apply the pressure yourself and push him back. And what that does is it doesn't even allow him to put a lot of weight on his front foot, and you need to pivot off of that front foot to get all that power on the right hand on your shot, right? So he's and pushing a guy back automatically is going to take some of that away. It's going to put him on his back foot. Wilder doesn't know how to fight off his back foot. Period. He does not know how to fight off that back foot. Not for any kind of extended period. Not with a guy in his face who's pushing him back consistently and knows how to apply that type of pressure and keep you off balance, right? And you can still work angles from the inside and stuff. You know, a beautiful example of that was Mike Tyson. He'd get in close, he'd pivot off to the side, he'd even hop sometimes, get great angles, land shots. But the fight that I would encourage anybody to look at if they want to see how you take a pressure fighter and completely throw him out of his game and back him up would be Shane Mosley versus Antonio Margarito. Now, I know Antonio Margarito wasn't a puncher, right? He got a lot of knockouts, but he wasn't a guy who was known for having this devastating power, especially not one-punch power, right? Margarito got all his knockouts through accumulation. He would go in there and just wear you down. Relentless energy, right? Cardio was through the roof, great chin, and he would go in and he never took a backward step. Ever, for any reason. He constantly went forward and just broke you down with the pressure and beat you down. Now, I get it, man, the hand wraps and everything, but that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to his style. Perfect example of how it works beautifully, that type of style is when he fought Cotto. Okay, when he fought Cotto, Cotto was by far the better boxer, was landing some clean shots, particularly left hooks that had Margarito's head snapping all over the place, right? But he's got that chin, so he was able to take it. And then on top of that, he just wore him down. And then by the time the 11th round rolls around, boom, game over. Okay, gets the win. And Cotto was trying to box him from the outside. He was doing really well, but you know, he was starting to fade. And obviously, we can go back to the wraps and everything, which I believe his wraps were loaded in that fight. Clearly played an advantage. But that's the style that he utilizes. Okay. Now contrast that with the next fight he comes out when he's fighting Mosley. Big difference. But compare and contrast that with Mosley, okay? Mosley goes out there and he was like, I'm the puncher. I'm the guy who at lightweight got 32 knockouts out of my first 35 wins. It doesn't matter that I'm moving up to 147. I got the power. And he's like, I'm not taking a backward step. So he comes out there, and even though he had, you know, Mosley had the quicker hands, better combination punching, those types of things, he's like, man, I'm backing this dude up. Like, he's not getting off. I'm not even letting him build momentum. I'm not letting him build speed. I'm not letting him get into his groove where he wants to come forward, where his power and his comfort is. He's like, I'm getting right in his face. I'm backing him up, and I'm beating him down. And that's exactly what he did. Right? Everybody thought that old Mosley was old at the time. Everybody thought that he was just going to come out and just get steamrolled. They were like, man, there's a lot of fights he could take. He's a big name. He can make money doing other things. Why does he want to sit here and fight Margarito? This dude is a freight train coming down the line. Who wants to step in front of that? Yeah, Shane Mosley did. And that's exactly what he did. He came out there and he put a beating on that man. Knocked him out. I think it was like the 8th round or the 9th round. Beautiful knockout. Beautiful knockout the way he landed that left hook, and Margarito just crumbled. On top of the fact, knowing that the man had the loaded wraps, got caught by Nazim Richardson in the locker room beforehand, then comes out there and just gets smoked, right? Beautiful thing. But like I said, the reason I bring that up is because I think it's a perfect example of how a man can take a pressure fighter and completely take him out of his element by being able to back him up. Now, I know, easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. If it was that easy, then everybody would do it, okay? But Fury's got the skill to do that. Now, I don't think he's going to completely change his fight in the sense that, like, that's it, 100% now. He's going to put his head right in dude's chest, in Wilder's chest, and move forward the whole fight, right? You can see he kind of did that in his last fight with Otto Wallen. But I think that was also due to the cut. I think he knew he needed to protect that cut, and that was a way to protect it, right? By getting in really tight like that versus letting dudes stay on the by fighting on the outside and letting Wallen get off with the shots like that initially caused the cut in the first place, you know. So it's not going to be like just boom, night and day. But I think it's going to be something that he incorporates into his game, right? Because he said he's going to. It's a good idea. His boxing IQ is high. He knows it's a good idea, and he can. Right, so that's one aspect. Another aspect you got to pay attention to. He said he's going to come into this fight heavier. He's probably going to gain about 20 pounds. Right, he's going to come in at like 280. Right, so 6'9", 280. He said last time, you know, they're using, obviously they don't know pounds where he's from, so he doesn't speak in pounds. He said it's last time he came in 18 stone, this time it's going to be 19 stone, right? So that's about a 15 to a 20 pound difference probably when it's all said and done. So he's going to come in about 280, and he said he wants that extra weight for two reasons. One, so he's got heavier shots, and two, so that he can take shots a little bit better. So gotta believe him on that one. Makes perfect sense. That's exactly what you would do if you were going to fight that way. And then three, another thing that I think is key is he brought in a new trainer for this one, right? He had nothing but praise for Ben Davison in his last fight, and even in this one, coming in the build up to it, he said, like, there's no bad blood. We didn't have a falling out. It's nothing like that. I just decided to go. I wanted to bring in another trainer, an assistant trainer, to implement new things, some new things, because I think we need to do something a little bit different in this fight to win. Can't do that same thing. Ben Davison apparently didn't really like the idea of an assistant trainer coming in. He's like, hey, I'm the head trainer. I'm calling the shots. This is how it is. And apparently they just, boom, separated, went their separate ways, right? I was listening to an interview for Tyson that just came out yesterday, where he was talking about that. He's like, it all happened so fast, and before you know it, bang, Sugar Hill's my trainer, right? So he had prior experience with Sugar Hill and his uncle Emmanuel Stewart back out in Kronk back in the day, so it's not like a brand new trainer. These guys do have a little bit of rapport, a little bit of history, but he brought him in. Why would you bring in a new trainer? Because you need to implement a game plan, or you need to work on some techniques that your current trainer isn't bringing to the table and isn't offering. Right? And it sounds like that's exactly what this is going to be. Turning his shots over a little bit more, finding great leverage and balance so that he can land his shots. He's even mentioned landing them as counters instead of just making a guy miss, right? Following the old school adage, make him miss, make him pay. So slipping a shot and then coming over with something ferocious and getting him out of there. So man, it just sounds like he's really gonna go for it. And then one of the things I almost forgot. Something that he mentioned in this interview, this one that I just mentioned came out. I think it was IFL TV that did it. One of the things that he mentioned in that interview was Wilder's incredibly dangerous. He's incredibly dangerous the whole fight. The longer I'm in there with him, the higher the probability that he's going to be able to land a shot that hurts me. Right? And it's beautiful in its simplicity when you think about it. That's absolutely the truth. That's absolutely the truth. The longer you're in there with a man who can punch like that, the higher the chance that you're going to get caught with something. So you want to get him out of there as soon as possible, right? Throw him off his game plan in the way that you fight so that his chances of landing that shot go down. But then on top of it, get him out of there, right? The man can only land the shot in the ring. You knock him out, that's it. It's over. His chance for landing that punch is another day, another time, right? So again, that's where the boxing IQ comes in, right? You'd have to realize that is the truth. I need to get him out of there, and then design and implement a game plan on how you're going to do that, right? So I think we're going to see a hybrid, so to speak, right? It'll be implementing a little bit more pressure, shooting more counter shots, getting in his face a little bit more and trying to back him up at times, and then also utilizing what we've always known from Fury, which is the great footwork on the outside, bending at the waist and the movement, right? And I think it's going to be those two things that really carry the day for him and for his game plan and his style, and he's going to really try to land those harder shots and get him out of there, and I think it's going to work. I really do. We have no reason to believe that it won't, right? Deontay Wilder's flat-footed. He got torn up in the last fight, so I'm sure Fury has incredible confidence from things that he's going to be able to go in there and execute, and even against competition that's far lesser than Fury, like Wilder's hittable. Right, a lot of guys have gone in there and hit him. A few guys have hurt him back in the day. I think Fury hurt him. Wilder said that he didn't, but he looked a little bit like he caught some good shots at times. Right, he got hit with a few ones. Not saying like he was wobbly legs or he was about to go out or anything, but it wasn't just a jab either that he shakes off a half a second later. It was he hit him with some significant shots. So to think that he could go in there and really put some fire on it and hurt him, absolutely that's possible. Absolutely, that's possible. So yeah, to answer the question, I do think Fury's going to go for the KO. I do think that's a reasonable plan. I do think that he can back this guy up and possibly take him right out of his game plan and go in there and beat him twice, almost in two separate ways. So hey, fights in a few days, man. Can't be more excited. Looking forward to it.